Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I am so excited about today's episode because I get to sit down with one of my incredible past Inner Circle graduates, someone who has built truly a meaningful brand and movement online that's changing the lives of moms everywhere. So today I get to chat with Amy, the creator behind Genius Mom Hacks. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the chaos of motherhood or maybe stuck in the cycle of the never ending to do list, her story is going to speak straight to your heart. Amy went from feeling completely buried in the stress of motherhood to creating systems and routines and habits that brought peace, time, and freedom back into her home. Not only did she transform her own life, she's now built a thriving business helping thousands of moms do the same thing. Inside the inner circle, I got to watch Amy's brand take off. Her page grew dramatically, her sales 2 to 3x, and now she's about to launch her very first book, Genius Mom Hacks, which comes out October 28th. In this conversation, we're diving into her journey, the mindset shifts that helped her grow, and the routines that are helping moms everywhere trade chaos for calm. So let's dive into it. Welcome, Amy, to the show.
Thank you so much, Jenna, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. Oh my gosh, so much going on with your life, and I'm just excited to bring my followers along for the journey.
Yay. It's been an amazing 6 months with you. And you've definitely got a front row seat to all of that happened.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your story to start. You've built an incredible community of moms online, but your story really started in a different place. Can you share with our listeners what life looked like before Genius Mom Hacks?
Absolutely. So, yes, you are correct. Genius Mom Hacks came out of just years of me fine tuning and learning a lot in being a mom. And it started when I had a 2 year old and a 3 month old, my first two. I did end up having twins 2 years after that, but this was before the twins were born. I was your typical overwhelmed mom, just trying to, survive motherhood. Before that, I was a working mom and I had just transitioned to being a stay at home mom, doing real estate on the side and really struggling and wondering why I was feeling so stressed and overwhelmed. I was putting the towels away one day when they fell and unraveled to the ground. And that's kind of where my story starts because I was able in that moment, I felt like God gave me like eyes to see and I saw my home for what it was. I looked around and I saw just chaos. I saw messes everywhere, piles of shoes by the door, and papers on the floor, on the table, and dishes across all of the counters and in the sink. Toys, just lots of kids' toys all over the family room and the living spaces. While it was justified, right? I had a 3 month old and a 2 year old, and very normal in motherhood. It also was so freeing to realize that this was causing my stress because at that point, I was turning to blaming my kids. I was turning to resenting my husband. I didn't want that for my life. I didn't set out to get married and have kids just to hate the same thing that I prayed for. So I feel like God really showed me that it was my home. That next part really kicked off my journey where Genius Mom Hacks is today.
That's so cool and so relatable for so many people. I feel like there's a lot of people listening right now because I do have a lot of moms in my network as well that can imagine and relate to that moment of sitting on your floor and just feeling like, what is even happening? And you talk about some of those next steps, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to hear a little bit more about like some of the first small changes or tips that you would say that really started to make a real difference in your home, but also in your mindset, because we know that those two things go hand in hand.
Yes, I'm a big believer, and I teach often on my platform that motherhood is beyond physical. It's also a lot of mental. So for me, right off the bat, I did try doing things like decluttering and making lists and organizing. And I share in my book and on my platform, while those tools are really helpful, they actually weren't the catalyst that took me from being overwhelmed to eliminating my stress. What I saw in my home that made the biggest difference was adding effective routines, which is one of the foundational pieces that I talk about on my platform and in all my content, and productivity tools. One of the main productivity tools that I talk about that I use often and encourage other moms to use is called Race the Clock. Now, I deemed it Race the Clock. It's got a scientific name for it. It's backed in science and psychology, which is why I love it even more because I think when you find a tool that not only works for you, but it's built to work for you, it carries extra weight. And so that tool is just getting a large visual clock and literally setting that clock and trying to single task whatever thing that you're trying to get done. Honestly, those two things, I have a lot of other hacks and I talk about them in my guides and in my content. But if you were really to bundle it down to two foundational pieces, it's really routines and productivity tools, trying to get more done in less time. Because as we know, as busy moms, every second counts. Like you literally can turn around for a second and see a completely different scene in front of you with children running chaos. I needed things that are going to work for me in my season of motherhood as a busy mom with young kids. And these tools work.
They really do. I'm obsessed. Okay, so let's dive into a little bit of the growth side. We'll talk a little about business and then we'll go back into some of the exciting things you have coming up. So, we met a little over 6 months ago and you joined my mastermind called the Inner Circle. What were you, if you don't mind sharing, what were you hoping to maybe get out of it? And then maybe what was something that surprised you about the growth that you ended up experiencing?
I wanted coaching because when you run a business from home, and I think this can be almost any type of business that you run, it can feel very isolating. You're not necessarily always surrounded with business like minded people. And so, especially for me, being a mom at home with four kids, running a business that did start to take off, I really wanted more eyes on my business just to make sure that one, that I was doing the right things. Like just because a business is doing well, that doesn't mean you're doing all the right things. And two, what was I not doing that I should be doing? So really, I reached out to you and I was excited about the inner circle because it was going to be that one on one experience where I could have intentional eyes on my business.
I love that. During that time, we got to watch, you had already grown quite an established brand beforehand, but we really got to see exponential growth during that time. And for those that are listening, what would you say on the business side of things? What was maybe one or two, if you want to share things that stand out that helped make that difference in your online growth journey?
There's so many things that I felt like just were so perfectly timed during my season with you, like my time with you in the inner circle. Two that stand out the most was one, being consistent. I talk about that a lot. And honestly, consistency plays out in almost every aspect of your life. If you want to do something well, you got to be consistent in it. Routines actually are really built in a lot of consistency. What I love about routines and just even growing your own business is oftentimes it's not the huge changes. Like my platform is all about small changes when done consistently have huge results. It's a quote by Robin Sharma, and literally I quote it all the time. And it directly is exactly how I built and grew 2, 3 times in my business. Working with Jenna, it literally was the small changes. Like I kept telling her over and over again that I want to tweak. Like I'm not looking for an overhaul. I already had an established platform at that time. So I knew what I was doing was working. I was looking for the holes. Like where can we tweak? Where can we refine? Where
Yeah.
can we just really get those eyes on? So again, the same things that I teach in Genius Mom Hacks, small changes, are literally the things that 2 and 3x my business in Genius Mom Hacks. And I don't find that coincidental. I think that is just like the beautiful 360 that mindset can have on both your life and your business.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm in a season now where I'm experiencing that in my health journey. And I'm like, wow, in your home life, in your business life, in your health life, like all of it goes hand in hand. It's so cool to see that. The last question we'll ask about business and growth is there's a lot of moms that and creators that will listen to this that struggle with putting themselves out there to begin with. What would you say helped you gain that confidence even prior to us working together for you to start actually putting your face out there and putting more of your content? Like, was there something that helped you gain the courage to show up more?
That's such a good question because a lot of moms struggle with putting yourself out there. I think for me, I really believed in my content and I saw such a big change in my own life. And just being in mom groups in my community and just seeing the other moms struggling and me almost feeling like, oh, like I want to say something, but didn't feel like I had the room or the platform to do it. I felt bold because I really wanted this message to get to the world. Once it started taking off, like at first, when I first started, I was just kind of like, well, we'll see what happens. I really wanted an identity outside of motherhood. So knowing your why, like, why
Yeah.
do you want to do this? I wanted an identity outside of motherhood. I wanted extra income for my family to take my kids on vacations that were more than what we could afford at the time. and I had a content that I really was passionate about. I mean, if you can really identify your why, it helps you get over that fear of putting yourself out there. Because I show up in my authentic self. I don't show up in my prettiest form. I am the mom that's in the workout clothes that just got done with the workout, that has no makeup on, that is still going to go live or still going to go on stories and show up. It's believing in yourself, believing in your message, and knowing your why for sure.
That's so relatable. Thank you for sharing. And I think it becomes bigger than yourself too.
Mhm.
Amy's inspired over 10,000 moms and have trusted her with her methods, and it's just can you imagine if she didn't start this, right? Like it's bigger than you. It's been so fun to watch. You guys, I'm very excited because Amy is launching a book very soon, and the Genius Mom Hacks brand and now book is coming out shortly. We'll get this episode out before it even launches. So, the official launch date, do I have this correct? October 28th?
Yep, that is the
Okay.
date.
Awesome. Can we talk a little bit about that? We talked kind of about your inspiration for starting Genius Mom Hacks in general. Now, what really inspired you to write a book, and what can readers expect when they pick this up?
So I was inspired to write a book because, again, going back to that, my why is I really want every mom, every woman, every house manager, everyone who has a home who feels stressed by their home to have these tools. I feel like they are some of the most foundational tools that are not being taught anymore, and it's a huge miss to our culture. Some of the best ways to get this content out is by book, because the book will be not only available on Kindle, it'll be an audio version too. So for those that feel stressed by a guide or a course, who just the time to commit to that is their bottleneck, this will be another opportunity for them to learn about this content, get exposed to it at a much easier, digestible way. And because it's in more of a narrative form versus like a coaching form, it's got my story woven in it. I'm empathetic into my reader, into the mom journey. I call out a lot of the invisible mental load. I talk about my struggles, and I think it's just very relatable, and comes less from a coaching tactical perspective and more from a narrative. And so it's another way to consume my content and reach the masses and just like really impact the whole world. My brand is an international brand, and this book will go out internationally. And so I'm really excited for that.
That's so cool. And it is different, like you said, when you download a course or a guide, there's a place for that. And I love obviously teaching people how to create their own courses. But the book was, I found when I read it, it was easy to just sit, curl up, read the book, and feel like, man, I'm immersed in her story. And I see myself, a version of myself in Amy's story. So I'm excited. And one more question about the book. What do you hope moms will feel or maybe take away after finishing the book?
Well, I wrote it in a way where, like you said, you can feel yourself in the story, but there is opportunity for to have takeaways for to apply. It is applicable, and it guides you into just a few things that you can start doing right away, so you're not left like in a cliffhanger. Like, okay, I read this story and I relate to it, but now how am I supposed to fix my problems? Like, there's lots of really good tools and strategies that I instill in the book that can leave someone knowing exactly what to do next. And then there's always, you can further your journey with me through, other opportunities and services that I have.
Yeah, we can talk about that at the end, and I can attest to that. Reading the book, it feels like, yes, you're inspired, but you know those books where you're inspired and then you don't necessarily go and do anything? I found myself Amy would be like, "Did you finish?" I'm like, "No, I'm in the middle of implementing one of the things you in the book. I'm busy right now." Get into that go mode. So it's good. Like you will find yourself learning a lot and also implementing it, which is what's most important. Okay, so for the mom that's listening right now who maybe feels like she's drowning in the chaos, what is one small thing that she could maybe do today to create a little bit more calm in her home?
That is a great question. And honestly, one I get asked all the time, especially if you're like, oh, I can't take on a course right now. I just need to know where to start. I always tell moms to start with a morning routine. How you start your morning directly impacts the rest of your day. One of my probably like most controversial mom hacks that I encourage moms to do is to try to wake up 10 or 15 minutes before your kids. And depending on what season you're in motherhood, that's going to feel harder in some seasons than others. I am a testament to doing that through all seasons of motherhood. Obviously, right after having a baby, give yourself grace, enjoy the baby snuggles, get that sleep that you need. But there is moments in having a newborn or an infant that you can kind of adjust back to that. The reason why I love moms doing that is because it is so hard to wake up to a fight or flight mentality. And a fight and flight mentality is when your child wakes up screaming at you that they're hungry or they need their stuffy or, they want milk or they're just crying and throwing a tantrum already because children do that. That is gonna be really hard to reset your day and come back from. So I really encourage, and I have a really great morning routine that not only do I talk about in my guides, but I talk about in the book, where I help you really narrow down your most perfect morning routine for you. Because again, routines are not copy and paste. You can't copy mine and expect to get the same results for yourself. They really are personal to your lifestyle and your family dynamic and your personality. Once you find one that works for you, you become obsessed with it and it really shifts your whole day and it sets the tone for your day. And you look back and you're like, how did I survive without this beforehand? So I would say start with a morning routine, follow me, come find me in my DMs, and I can help kind of set that up for you or get my book when it comes out. And one of your takeaways in that book will be helping you set your first tool, which will be a morning routine.
Absolutely. So you have obviously, I mean, you've been an inspiration to me. I know you've been an inspiration to so many people where you've turned not only this overwhelm and chaos feeling into you've taken this problem and turned it into a solution, into a business, now a movement that's international, and now a book that's going to be launching. What would you say to another woman who is sitting on this idea that could definitely change a lot of people's lives, but they're just too scared to start?
I'm definitely a big believer in do it. I mean, obviously, looking back, I'm very thankful that this idea came to me, and I do feel like God gave me this idea. And then just being able to walk it out has been life changing for me, and then life changing for, thousands and thousands of other moms. I would say, please don't sit on it because the world needs what you bring to the table, your advice, your guidance, your knowledge. And I love the fact that so many other coaches talk about this. Your idea doesn't have to be like literally, Einstein. Like it just needs to be something that you're 1% better than the version of that you used to be. So if you have something that you've changed and grown in, there's your idea. I think a lot of people think it has to be this huge, magnificent, crazy, genius idea. A lot of my content is small changes. And what makes them so amazing is all of them put together. And you probably have something just like that. So
Yeah, absolutely, you guys. Okay, so we're gonna do a little rapid fire, and then I want you guys to hear where you can get to know Amy a little bit more. So, what is your go-to coffee order, Amy?
I like a good white mocha.
Oh, yummy. Me too. Okay, I already know the answer to this question. Morning or night routine person?
Morning.
Morning. Do you go to sleep pretty early?
My husband would love me to go to sleep earlier than I do. And I get asked this a lot because I wake up early. People assume I'm in bed by like 9, but I'm actually a 10 to 11 kind of go to bed girly. I don't need 8 or 9 hours of sleep. I actually function really well between 7 and 8 and probably under 8. I don't like waking up early, even though I preach it, doesn't mean I like it. My husband offers me coffee as like a bribery to get me out of bed in the morning. He's an early bed, early to rise, so he gets up even before I do and makes a coffee and brings it to me, and that's kind of part of our morning routine, and it really is special. It's, the house is quiet and depending on the season, whether it's summer and the lights coming in or it's fall and it looks so like cozy outside, it's always a glorious morning when all children are asleep.
There we go. Okay, one hack you can't live without.
I want to say a hack doesn't always have to be like a system or a tool. So obviously, I love routines. I like to call those hacks, but a product hack that I can't live without is my robot vacuum and my robot vacuum plus mop. And I talk about it all the time in my content and on my page. We are in a technology age, people. If we are not taking advantage of some of these services that are, convenience to us, why are we making things harder than they have to? My robot vacuum was just running. I ran out to an appointment. I came back. My whole house is just sparkling clean. And I didn't even have, I was gone, you guys, and the work was getting done. So a lot of my content, like I talk about online grocery shopping delivery, like I don't go into grocery store. I don't go into a lot of stores, period, because they're so time wasting. So I would say another hack is just taking advantage of technology and the services that are offered today. Some of them cost more than others, but if they're within budget and within means, like a robot vacuum, that's a great Christmas gift. They're actually not that expensive. Get it on Black Friday.
Sometimes I've even had to look at the breakdown of the time that I'm saving because of that tool, and it might sound like it's more expensive up front, but on the overall, it actually is really beneficial. Okay, so where I like to keep my podcast episodes nice and brief for my followers, I think they appreciate that, but I would love for you to plug where people can connect with you because I know that my followers are going to benefit not only from your products, but your book and just staying in touch with you. So, social platform, and then how can they purchase the book on October 28th?
I am Genius Mom Hacks on all platforms. I am most active, and my foundational platform is Instagram. I am on all the others. And then you're going to buy it. There is going to be a link in my bio for launch day. There's a special link. It's going to be on Amazon, but it's not available yet. So if you follow me and you get in my bio, you'll see my special link that you can get for launch day. And then after launch day, it's Amazon. It'll also be in some Targets and some Barnes and Nobles, but mainly Amazon, and it's international.
How exciting. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Amy, thank you so much for sharing your heart and your story and your wisdom today. It's been so inspiring to see how you've turned your personal transformation into something that's impacting so many other moms. For everyone listening, if you're ready to calm the chaos in your home and get your time and sanity back, make sure you go follow Amy at Genius Mom Hacks and check out her brand new book, Genius Mom Hacks, launching October 28th. I will link everything in the show notes below for you guys. And if this episode encouraged you at all, take a quick screenshot, tag us both at Jenna Peterson and Genius Mom Hacks in your stories, and share a takeaway that stuck out with you. We would love to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you.